Assalamu alaikum students. I'm a teacher from ilmonlineacademy. In previous video, I've discussed about the standard form with you, and we have covered exercise 1.7a and 1.7b up till part number 15. And I told you that how we need to convert a number, a particular number in standard form. So basically, a standard form was in this way that we need to write a number in a times 10 raised to the power negative n. Okay. So basically here, if I will be talking about A, so we have a range for A that A can be in between 1 to 10. But 1 will be included and 10 will not be included. Okay, as I have just written greater than an equal sign with 10 and with 10, greater than an equal sign with 1 and with 10 only I have written less than sign. Okay, so 10 is not included, but we can only write down the number in between 1, 2, 3, 4 up to so on 9. Up till 9 we can write for A. But n can be any number, but that must be an integer, either positive, either negative. Okay, either positive or either negative. So basically this is standard form and we need to write a number in standard form just to make some bigger numbers or smaller numbers easier to write down and easier to read them. Fine. So up till 15 we have done questions, and if you want to check that how to convert the numbers into the standard form, so you can check my previous video. So in this part number 16, as we need to start it. So we have been given three values over here, the values of A, the value for the B, and the value for the C. And all three values has been given in the form of standard form. Okay, so what they're saying that arrange A, B, C in order of the size and smallest first. Okay, you need to write it smallest first. So if you basically want to write them in order of the size, so it's better to just change them all into the simple numbers or into a full form, and then just check that which one number is the smaller one and which one number is the larger one. Okay. So you can have this practice as well. So one by one, all of these numbers I will convert into a full form. So A is basically the number A they gave us is 512 times 10 raised to the power 2. So if I will convert this in simple full form, so this will be 51200 because 10 power 2 means 100. Times by 100, just only you can apply 2 zeros with this. Next, for the B1, they have been given us 0.478 times 10 raised to the power 6. So as the number is basically starting from 0 point something, like basically this is showing us that this is a really small number and we have 10 raised to the power 6. So if we want to convert it into a so in full form, basically this number will be 478000. Because after decimal point, we already have three numbers and this is 10 power 6. So 6 zeros, so 3 zeros have been already used just to convert these three numbers, like without decimal point, to write them down. And then after that, three more zeros. So in this way, you can write it as a full number. Okay, the third one, C1 part, we have 0.0049 10 raised to power 7. So for this number, if we have 0.00 after decimal point, we have four numbers and this is basically 10 power 7. So if I will write this down as basically a simple full number, so for that, what I will do, I will count the numbers after the decimal and then I will just check that how many zeros are remaining. I will write that down with this significant number. So my number basically is 49,000. So now we need to arrange them all in order of the size, starting with the smallest. So you can carefully check now which one is the smallest number and which one will be the bigger number. So I'm writing some numbers over here. So the smallest number over here, this basically is 51,200. Okay, this one is only 49,000. So you can just check that which one is the smaller number and which one is the bigger number. So this is the first number, second number, and the third number. So in this way, if you don't want to go directly with the standard form to check that which one is the smaller, which one is the bigger, so you can convert the number in this form, in the full form, and then to check it that which one number gives you basically the smallest number and which is the larger number. Okay, so this is your part number 16. Hope so this is clear. Next, in part number 17, what they gave us is that if the number this is written in out in full form, how many zeros will be following the 4? Okay, as I gave you the tip over here, so we will exactly use the thing. We have the number 2.74 times 10 raised to the power 15. So students, over here already we have two numbers after the decimal point. So these there are basically power of 15. As two numbers already been given after the decimal point, so two numbers you need to skip. It means that 13 zeros will follow after 4. Okay, you can say 13 zeros will follow 4. How? Like the number will be 2, 7, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 zeros will follow the number 4, because if I will apply the decimal point here again, I need to count 15 numbers, and in that like counting of 15 numbers, 7 and 4 will also be included. So that's why we will be having 13 zeros after this 4. Okay. So next is part number 18. They're saying if the number is this written in out in full form, how many zeros would be there between the decimal point and the first significant figure? As the number, like in the power of 10, they have been given us negative 17. So if they have given us a negative 17, so obviously the number will be start from 0.00 something like this, okay? Because the number is really small. So if we need to deal with the very small numbers, we will write the numbers down in this way, like starting with the 0 point something. So what basically we need to do is to basically write down the number in the full form, and we will see that how many numbers will be in between this decimal point that they gave and the decimal point that we will made. Okay. So let's find that out. We have negative 17 power as a power of 10, part number 18. Okay, we have 7.31 times 10 raised to the power negative 17. So this time, as they give negative 17 power, so this time we will check that how many number has been given before this decimal point. So only one number is being given before this decimal point, that is 7. Okay. So what we will do is, from this 17, like as negative 17 is being given, so 1 0 will be skipped due to this number, that is 7, before decimal point, and rest of the 16 zeros you will apply before this 7. So the number will be 0 0.1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 7, 3, 1. Okay, it's difficult to just write the number down completely here, but almost I got it. So 16 zeros are these. Okay, I made the set of 333 here, and this 10 is basically remaining. So when 7 will be also included, so obviously 17 numbers, you can easily count them down to write the number into the full form. So but they're basically asking that how many zeros would be there in between the decimal point and the first significant figure. So first significant figure is 7 and the decimal point is right here. So in between basically 16 zeros are there, because 7 will be also included in a significant figure. So that is basically your part number 18. Hope so this is clear. So let's move on towards part number 19. So in part number 19, they gave us X and Y, and they're saying correct up to the nearest one significant figure. So we need to find out the greatest and the least possible value for X, Y, and X by Y. Least possible value and the greatest value we can only find out if basically we will just deal with these according to the lower bound and upper bound. Okay, so let's work on this 19 part. So first, write them. We need to write them down according to the bounds, like upper bound or lower bound for these numbers. So first of all, I'm writing for X, the lower and upper bound. And as they're saying that accuracy is according to the one significant figure, so we need to deal accordingly. We have 2 times 10 raised to the power 5. If I will write down the lower bound for this will be 1.5 times 10 raised to the power 5. Okay, 1.5 I'm using in this way because Here we have this 2, and if we want to find out the lower bound, I need to subtract 0.5 from this, and if I want to find out the upper bound, I need to add 0.5 in this. So accordingly we will be dealing. Okay, so 1.5 and 2.5. So this is your lower bound, and if I want to go on with upper bound, so I need to add 0.5 in this, and it will be 2.5 times 10 raised to the power 5. Okay, this is for x. Now, if I will be dealing with the y, we have y as 3 times 10 raised to the power negative 3. So first of all, again, we need to write them down, the lower bound. So again, subtracting 0.5, this will be 2.5 times 10 raised to the power negative 3, and then writing the upper bound, it will be 3.5 times 10 raised to the power negative 3. So according to the greatest and the least possible values, we need to deal with these numbers of, like, we need to carefully check that which bound you will choose to find out either the greatest possible value or either the least possible value. Okay, so first of all, going on with the first part, that is basically xy. Xy means to multiply x and y together. So first of all, as we need to find out the greatest possible value. So I'm just going to deal with the greatest possible value. Greatest value. For greatest value, we will be taking the upper bound for both of the numbers. Okay. Upper bound for x and multiplying upper bound for y. So upper bound for x is basically this 2.5 times 10 raised to the power 5, and we need to times it by the upper bound of the y, that is this one, and this is basically 3.5 times 10 raised to the power negative 3. So what we will do is, like, to find out the greatest possible value, this 2.5 needs to be multiplied with 3.5, and this 10 power 5 needs to be multiplied with negative 3. So bases are similar, power needs to be added, one thing. Secondly, this 2.5 you needs to multiply with this 3.5, and the number that I'm getting is 8.75 times 10 raised to the power 5 negative 3. Like, we need to subtract the power. So this will be 10 raised to the power 2. This is basically the greatest value that we got after multiplying both greatest value together. Okay, so this is your first part with the greatest value. Next is, as we need to find out the lowest possible value. So let's find that out over here. For finding out the lowest possible value, we need to go on with both of the lower bounds. Okay, least value. So both lower bounds of x, lower bound of y, you will multiply. So lower bound is this, that is basically 1.510 raised to the power 5 times the lower bound for the y, that is 2.5 times 10 raised to the power negative 3. Okay. So here we need to multiply 1.5 with 2.5, and that is coming 3.75. And power you need to deal accordingly. We have 10 power positive 5, this is basically, and times 10 raised to the power negative 3. So bases are similar. You need to add the power. So 5 negative 3, that will be basically 10 power 2. Okay. So this is the first part, and we have got the least possible value and the greatest possible value for x, y. As the numbers were being multiplied, so we need to pick up the upper bounds for getting a greatest value, and we need to then pick up both lower bounds to get a least possible value. But for x by y, like for the second part, as we need to go on by division, so we need to be careful that how we can find out the greatest or the least possible value. Okay, so let's work on this. Second part is that we need to go with x by y. So first of all, if I want to find out the greatest value. So for finding out the greatest value, what I will do, that I will just choose my upper bound first of all, and I will divide this one by the least value for this y. Okay, in this way I will be getting the greatest value. Okay, so my upper bound is upper bound dividing with the lower bound. Okay, So upper bound of x dividing with the lower bound of y. Upper bound of x is basically 2.5 times 10 raised to the power 5, dividing it with the lower bound, that is again 2.5 times raised to the power negative 3. So 2.5 dividing with 2.5 will be only 1. And as the bases are similar and they're being divided, so you need to subtract the powers. As already negative 3 is there, so that's why I just use the bracket, and in between I applied the sign. So 5 positive 3, and it will be 10 power 8. This is my greatest value for x by y. Okay. So the next is that we need to find out the least value. Okay. So for the least value, if we want to go on for the second part, least value. Okay, as here we need to divide. To find out the least value, what we will do is that we need to go on first of all the lower bound with the upper bound of y. Okay, lower bound of x you will choose, but upper bound you will choose it from y. So lower bound of the x is 1.5 times 10 raised to the power 5, and we need to divide it by the upper bound of y, that is 3.5 times 10 raised to the power negative 3. Okay, here I need to divide. So basically 1.5 dividing with 3.5 is basically giving me 0.428. Okay, rounding it off up to 3 decimal place. And we have 5, negative will be positive. Okay, positive 3. So this is not in a standard form, so I need to convert it into standard form. So that's why I'm just using my decimal point after 4, and it will be 4.29. And along with this, in between point to point, we have one number. So this will be negative 1. Okay. And this will be 10 power 8. So 8, negative 1, we need to add them together. And after adding them together, we will be having 10 power 7. So 4.29 times 10 raised to the power 7 is your least value for x by y. So hope so this is also clear. We have done the 19th part as well. So let's move on towards part number 20th. In this part number 20th, what they gave us is that oil flows through a pipe at the rate of this 40 meter cube per second. So how long will it take to fill a tank of volume this, and given your answer in minutes as well. Okay, fine. This is basically, this has been given in seconds, so we need to give the answer in minutes. And also, like, they're saying that oil flows through the pipe according to this rate. And the time as well they gave, so accordingly, we need to check the, time we need to find out, and volume they gave us, okay? So for this part number 20th, I'm doing here, they gave us the rate, okay, the flow rate. And the flow rate they gave us is 40 meter cube per second. Then they gave us the volume. And the volume that they gave us is 1.2 times 10 raised to the power 5 meter cube. First of all, what we need to find out is the time. How long will it take? So time is basically, we need to find out. So for this, the formula that you will be using is time basically equals to the volume times the rate, the flow rate, okay? So basically the two values that they gave, we need to multiply them together. Volume they gave is 1.2 times 10 raised to the power 5 meter cube. And this we need to multiply with the flow rate. Oh, sorry. We need to divide this. Okay, my mistake. This we need to divide. Volume basically needs to divide it with the rate. So here as well, we will be dividing this with the rate, and the rate that they gave us is 40 meter cube per second. Okay, so as we need to divide, so numbers you need to divide directly, like 1.2 needs to be divided by 40. Along with this, we have this 10 raised to the power 5, and this meter cube will be cancelled out with this meter cube, and only we will be left with the seconds. Okay, seconds. So first of all, we will be dividing this 1.2 with this 40. So 1.2 dividing with 40 is basically coming 0.03. Okay, 0.03. Along with this, we have this 10 raised to the power 5 seconds. Okay, but right now our answer is not in standard form. So to convert it in standard form, we will apply the decimal point after 3. So it will be 3 times 10 raised to the power -2. Because my number is starting from 0 point something and this 10 to the power 5 will be as it is. So now we need to add the power. So this will be -2 positive 5 and this will be 10 raised to the power 3 seconds. Okay. 10 raised to the power 3 second, 3 times 10 raised to the power 3, we got it. But one more thing that they are asking over here is that we need to convert this seconds into minutes as well. Okay. And then they're saying that give your answer into minutes. So to change the second into minutes, what basically we do, like we know that there are basically 60 seconds in 1 minute. To convert this, what we will do is to divide this by 60, simply like this. So simply divide 3 by 60 and it will be changing this one into minutes. Seconds to minutes we need to go, okay? So this is coming 0.05 times 10 raised to the power 3 minute. But as we need to give our answer in standard form, so for this, as we have 0.05 again, I will be writing it as 5 raised to the power -2 because in between point to point we have two numbers. So this will be -2 along with that 10 to the power 3. So my final answer will be 5 times 10 raised to the power 1 minute. This is my final working. Okay, even you can write it as 50 minutes, but I need to give the answer in standard form, so that's why I'm just giving you answer in this way. So this is the answer for part number 20th. Okay, let's move on to the next part number 21st. Here they gave us one formula. They are saying L is basically equals to 2 raised to the 2 square root A by K. So we need to find out the value of the L in standard form when they gave us the A and the K as well. So let's work on this. Okay, here as they already gave us the formula, so we need to just put the values inside. So we have L equals to 2 square root A over K. So let's put the values inside this. We have 2 square root. A is basically 4.5 times 10 raised to the power 12 and we have K as 5 times 10 raised to the power 7. So first of all, what we will do is we will just deal with the numbers. We will divide them. We have 4.5 and we will divide it by 5. And after dividing, it's coming 0.9. And this, we will just simply subtract them both because the powers needs to be subtracted as they are being divided. So 0.9 times 10 raised to the powers from 12, we need to subtract 7. It's coming 5. But as I need to convert it into standard form, so this will be 9 times 10 raised to the power -1 times 10 raised to the power 5. So what we can do is we can write it as 9 times 10 raised to the power 4 because 5 -1 will give us 4. So 9 square root is basically 3 and as we have 10 power 4 and square root means that we need to times it by 1 by 2. So 2 times 4 basically only like 4 square root will be also 2. That is going to be given. So 10 power 2. So 3 2 times is 6 times 10 raised to the power 2. This is basically the value for the L they are asking for. Okay, so this was a very quick working. Okay, so what they gave us next is 22nd part and what they gave us in this is they're saying the number 10 to the power of 100 is basically called a Google. And if it takes 1 by 5 seconds to write a 0 and 1 by 10 seconds to write a 1, so how long will it take to write a number 100 in Google, 100 Google in full? Okay, fine. This is quite tricky question in a way that what they are basically saying us that we need to be carefully checking that what basically they are asking for. First of all, they're saying that if we are writing a number 10 to the power of 100, okay, 10 to the power of 100 is basically called a Google. Google. Okay, this is basically the word Google. So this basically simply means that we need to write 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 up to so on. Like we need to write down 100 zeros almost. Okay, 100 zeros to write down one Google. Okay, now what they're saying, like only one is there and we have 100 zeros along with this. So what they're saying that it takes only 1/5 seconds to write a zero. If it's only taking 1/5 second to write zero, okay, to write zero, it take 1/5 second. And to write, then they're saying that it takes 1/5 second to write a zero and 1/10 seconds to write a one. To write one, it takes 1/10, sorry, 1/10 second. Okay, so we need to find out the time, how long it takes to write down the 100 Google, number 100 Google in full. So to first of all, we will be finding out that how much time it will be taking for writing one Google, okay? So let's minimize it a bit. So to write one Google, let's find out how much time it will take. So to write one Google, basically 1/10 seconds it take to write one, and only we have only one time we have one. And then it needs to add it in 1/5 second it takes to write zeros, and we have 100 zeros in total. So 1/10 times 1 will be 1/10, and this will be 100/5. Okay. So since only one basically used one times only, that's why I'm just using it to multiply it with 1. And if I will just go on with 520 times is 100, so plus 20, and what it will be 20 into 1/10. Okay. Almost to write down one Google, it takes this seconds. Okay. Now we need to check that if we have to write down 100 Google, so how much time it will take 100 Google. So 100 we need to multiply with this number that we got, okay, with 20 into 1/10. So for this, canceling the zeros, first we can just convert it into simple fraction. 10 times will be 200 plus 1, 201/10. Cancel the zeros. So we have 2010 seconds. Okay, so it takes basically 2010 seconds to write a complete 100 Googles in full. Okay, so basically this is a way to find that out, and if we need to write down 100 Google, how much time it will take. And this was basically according to the condition that if you will know to find out that how much time it's basically taking to write down one Google in full. Okay, so hope so this one exercise is a bit clear. So again, the thing is that if you have a good grip on your standard form, writing the numbers on in standard form, then this exercise will be really easier for you. So hope so rest of the questions that we left you can practice yourself, and if still you have any problem, then you can ask in comment section. So see you until the next section. Allah Hafiz.